Zakona watched in disbelief as her sister whispered to her 8-year-old son, "You can't eat any of the food." Her tiny hands trembled as she looked at the spread, full of cakes and treats served to every other child. Zakona's chest tightened, knowing this was more than just exclusion. It was a cruel lesson in humiliation. Zakona woke up early, humming softly as she helped Musa into his bright favorite shirt. She tied his little shoes carefully and brushed his hair, smiling at how excited he was. The living room smelled of fresh balloons and sweet pastries she had baked the night before. As she arranged the decorations, she noticed her sister, Thandi, standing by the window with arms crossed, her face cold and unreadable. Zakona forced a small smile and whispered to herself that today was about celebrating Musa, not worrying about anyone else. The first guests started arriving, children laughing and running toward the colorful decorations, their parents following with warm greetings. Musa's eyes sparkled with happiness as he waved and ran to greet his friends. Zakona watched the joy on his face and felt a wave of love, squeezing his tiny hand gently. But something niggled at her heart. Every time Thandi passed by, she barely glanced at Musa, and there was a stiff tension in the way she spoke to others. Zakona could feel it like a cold shadow, an invisible wall forming between her son and his aunt. She tried to ignore it, focusing on the balloons, the gifts and the excited chatter of the children. Yet every time Thandi walked past, Musa hesitated, looking to Zakona for reassurance. Zakona gave him a comforting nod and whispered, "It's your day, my love. Nothing can take that from you." The laughter continued, bright and carefree, but Zakona's heart tightened. She realized that even among smiles and cheer, her sister's coldness could try to cast a shadow over her son's special moment. Despite the unease, Zakona kept her energy light, serving snacks to the children and making sure Musa felt included in every little game and activity. She laughed genuinely, engaging with the guests, all while keeping a watchful eye on Thandi. It was like walking a tightrope, wanting to let the party be joyful but also silently guarding her son from the subtle chill of exclusion. Musa skipped around, clutching his tiny hands in delight, unaware of the tension, while Zakona's heart held both excitement and quiet determination. She would not let anyone steal his happiness today. The morning rolled on, balloons swaying in the sunlight, children's laughter echoing, and Zakona's careful balance of love and vigilance holding the day together, knowing the biggest test of patience and courage was just around the corner. The moment for the cake finally came, and Zakona's heart swelled with excitement as she carried the colorful cake into the center of the room. Children gathered around, their eyes wide with anticipation, and Musa's smile shone brighter than the candles on the cake. Just as she was about to cut the first slice, Thandi stepped forward, her face tight and lips pressed into a thin line. One by one, she handed out pieces to every child, her movements deliberate and slow. When she reached Musa, she leaned down and whispered so that only he could hear, "You can't have any." Musa froze, his tiny hands hovering in confusion. He looked up at his mother, eyes wide and shimmering with unshed tears, searching for an explanation. His little heart didn't understand why he was being left out when every other child was smiling and laughing, enjoying the sweet treat. Zakona felt a pang in her chest. The room, filled with the cheerful chatter of children, suddenly felt heavy and tense. She gently squeezed Musa's shoulder and whispered, "It's okay, my love. Just wait a moment." The children continued to eat their cake, some giggling and offering Musa bites, unaware of what was happening. A few parents glanced at the scene, raising eyebrows at the awkward silence around Musa, but quickly dismissed it with polite smiles, assuming it was just a strange family quirk or a playful joke gone wrong. Yet Zakona could see the sting in Musa's eyes, the way his small body slumped slightly as he tried to hide his hurt. Her chest tightened with anger and protectiveness. She could feel the weight of humiliation pressing down on her son, and she knew she had to act, but carefully, without making a scene. Thandi's whisper echoed in Zakona's mind, sharp and cruel. "He can't have any." How could someone be so heartless on a child's special day? She swallowed her anger, determined not to let this ruin the moment. She watched Musa's little hands fidget, the way he glanced around, hoping someone would notice, hoping someone would step in. Zakona's mind raced with ideas, planning quietly how to turn this cruel moment into something that would make Musa feel loved, cherished, and proud. Even as the laughter and chatter continued around them, Zakona's resolve strengthened. This would not be the memory Musa carried from his birthday. She would find a way to make him the happiest child in the room, despite Thandi's cold cruelty. And in that silent, heavy moment, Zakona silently promised herself that this public snub would not define her son's special day. Zakona's hands tightened around the edge of the table, her knuckles turning white as she watched Musa sit quietly, staring at the untouched cake in front of him. Her heart raced, pounding with a mix of anger, hurt, and determination. Every fiber of her being wanted to stand up and yell at Thandi, to expose the cruelty for everyone to see. But she held back. She knew that doing so would embarrass Musa even more, and he deserved a moment of joy, not public drama. Her mind worked quickly, calculating how to protect her son without creating a scene. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to smile and act normal, hiding the fury boiling inside. Guests continued to chatter and laugh, oblivious to the tension, while Musa's small hands clutched at the edges of his chair. Zakona leaned slightly toward him, whispering softly, "Don't worry, my love. Mommy has a plan. You're going to have your moment." As she watched her sister laughing with other guests, casually ignoring Musa, Zakona felt a fire light up within her. She remembered all the times Thandi had belittled her, treated Musa as if he didn't matter, and favored her own children in every possible way. This wasn't just about cake. It was about respect, love, and teaching her son that no one had the right to make him feel small. But she also understood the lesson had to be subtle, a quiet strength that Musa could learn from without feeling humiliated in front of the others. Zakona's eyes scanned the room, imagining ways to turn the situation around. She could see the curiosity in the guests' faces, the tiny glances at Musa, sensing that something was wrong. The anger inside her mixed with creativity, fueling an idea. If she acted calmly and thoughtfully, she could transform the embarrassment into a celebration of love and pride. She bent down to Musa, brushing his hair gently from his forehead. "Remember," she whispered, "sometimes people try to make you feel less, but the strongest thing you can do is rise above it. Today, we're going to make this your happiest birthday ever." Musa's eyes widened a little, hope sparking within him, trusting his mother completely. Zakona straightened, her resolve firm. The silent fury inside her became a quiet power, a determination to teach her son resilience, self-worth, and confidence without letting anyone, not even Thandi, steal his joy. She would not let cruelty win today. She would turn this moment into one of pride, love, and unforgettable happiness, and she would do it with grace and strength. Zakona's mind drifted back, the sounds of laughter and cake fading as memories flooded her. She remembered every family gathering, every holiday, every small celebration where Thandi's favoritism had been clear. When they were younger, Thandi's children always received the best gifts, the loudest praise, the biggest slices of cake, while Zakona and Musa were barely noticed. She could still see the way Thandi would pat her own children's heads with exaggerated affection, while Musa's attempts to show excitement were ignored or brushed off with a sigh. She remembered last year's Easter, when Thandi had planned a small egg hunt. The other children dashed around, laughing and finding colorful eggs, while Musa hesitated at the edge, unsure if he was allowed to join. When he reached for one, Thandi's sharp voice had stopped him. "Don't take that one, it's not for you." Zakona had held his hand and whispered, "It's okay, we'll make our own fun," trying to hide the hurt in her own chest. It wasn't only the big events. Even in everyday moments, Thandi's behavior was the same. She would criticize Zakona's choices in front of family members, make offhand comments about Musa being too shy or too slow, and laugh at things that only seemed funny to her. Zakona remembered the way guests would occasionally glance at her, sensing the tension, but never fully understanding the quiet cruelty. Over time, these small wounds had piled up, leaving an invisible weight on Zakona and Musa, shaping how they approached family events, always wary of humiliation. Yet, through these memories, Zakona also remembered the resilience she had nurtured in herself and the lessons she had tried to teach Musa. Every time Thandi had tried to belittle them, Zakona had found a way to shield her son, to turn the disappointment into strength. She remembered the whispered words of encouragement, the small acts of love, the quiet moments of connection that had built Musa's confidence slowly, brick by brick. The flashback reminded her why today mattered so much. This birthday wasn't just another party. It was an opportunity to rewrite the pattern, to show Musa that he could shine, that he could be celebrated, that he didn't have to accept favoritism or cruelty as normal. The past had hurt them, but it had also prepared Zakona to act with wisdom, patience, and love. She clenched her fists quietly, feeling the emotional weight of years of unfairness, but also feeling a growing determination to turn this moment into a memory of joy, pride, and empowerment for her son. Zakona took a deep breath, feeling every eye in the room on her. The chatter quieted slightly as guests noticed her calm, steady presence. Musa sat beside her, looking up with wide, uncertain eyes, still holding back the sadness from being left out. Zakona bent down and whispered, "Trust me, Musa. Your moment is coming." She straightened, smiled, and turned toward the guests, projecting warmth and confidence in her voice. "Musa may not eat the cake yet," she said clearly, her words cutting through the room's quiet hum. "But he's about to have the sweetest moment of all." Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and the guests leaned in, curious, sensing that something unusual was about to happen. Children paused mid-bite, parents tilted their heads, and even Thandi's laughter faded as she tried to understand what Zakona meant. The tension in the room shifted slightly. Everyone could feel that this wasn't just another birthday party. There was a quiet power in Zakona's voice, a calm confidence that made people pay attention. Guests murmured softly to one another, intrigued by her words, wondering what she had planned. Musa's little face lit up with a tiny spark of hope, sensing that his mother was about to change the whole moment for him. Zakona smiled gently at him and gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. Inside, her mind raced with the plan she had been quietly preparing while keeping her composure. This was the moment where humiliation would turn into joy, where exclusion would turn into celebration, and where Musa would learn something far more important than just enjoying a slice of cake. She could feel Thandi's eyes on her, sharp and measuring, but Zakona didn't falter. She projected calm and kindness, letting everyone in the room sense that something special was about to happen. The suspense built naturally, the air heavy with curiosity and anticipation. Guests whispered among themselves, children exchanged eager glances, and Musa leaned closer to his mother, his heart beating faster with excitement and trust. In that quiet but powerful moment, Zakona had shifted the energy of the room. What had started as a scene of exclusion and subtle cruelty now held the promise of transformation. Everyone felt it. This birthday would not be ordinary. Musa was about to have a moment that would stay with him forever. And Zakona, with her calm determination and love, was about to turn what had been a painful experience into the sweetest memory of all. Zakona smiled softly to herself and motioned for Musa to follow her. She led him quietly to the kitchen, where a surprise had been waiting all along. On the counter sat a cake she had baked the night before, hidden carefully from Thandi and the other guests. It was colorful and decorated with little figures of Musa's favorite animals, lions, elephants, and tiny rockets, things only he loved. The frosting sparkled slightly, and the smell of chocolate and vanilla filled the air. Musa's eyes widened, and a shy smile appeared on his face. "Mom, is this for me?" he whispered, hardly believing it. Zakona ruffled his hair gently. "Yes, my love. This is your special cake, made just for you. No one can take this away from you." She handed him a small knife, and he held it with pride, feeling like the most important person in the room. Meanwhile, the guests in the living room grew curious as they noticed Zakona stepping back into the party with a secret sparkle in her eyes. Whispers spread quickly, children pointing excitedly, parents tilting their heads, and even Thandi's face tightened with confusion. Everyone could sense that something unusual and special was happening, and suspense began to build. Zakona placed the cake in the center and invited Musa to stand proudly beside it. She began to cut the first slice and hand it to him herself, making sure he got the biggest, most beautiful piece. Children gathered around, and soon everyone was watching Musa enjoy the cake with pure joy on his face. Zakona added little touches, sprinkles here, a tiny flag there, making the cake experience personal and fun. Every bite Musa took seemed to shine brighter, and the room slowly shifted from quiet curiosity to lively applause and cheers. Guests smiled and clapped, some leaning closer to get a better look at the creative cake. Musa's laughter rang out, pure and confident, replacing the earlier sadness. Zakona's heart swelled as she saw him enjoying the moment, feeling loved, celebrated, and special. The initial humiliation from Thandi's snub was completely forgotten. replaced by joy and admiration. Even Thandi had to pause, her eyes narrowing as she watched the celebration unfold. Zakona remained calm and graceful, letting the moment speak for itself. Without confrontation or anger, she had turned a cruel act into a moment of triumph for Musa. The secret cake had become a symbol of love, resilience, and clever planning, showing everyone that sometimes the sweetest victories come quietly, but leave the biggest impact. Musa's face lit up brighter than the candles on his special cake as he took the first bite. The room, once tense and quiet, erupted in applause and cheers. Children clapped their hands, some jumping up and down in excitement, while parents smiled warmly, leaning closer to watch Musa's delight. Every cheer, every clap, made him stand a little taller, his small chest puffing up with pride. Zakona watched him closely, her heart swelling as she saw confidence and joy replacing the sadness from earlier. "Musa, look at all the people cheering for you," Zakona whispered, her voice soft but full of pride. He glanced at her, eyes shining, and nodded, understanding for the first time that he was the center of the celebration, not just another child in the crowd. He laughed, a sound so pure and happy that it made the atmosphere in the room completely change. The awkward tension from before melted away, replaced by excitement and admiration for Musa. Guests began taking photos, some holding their phones high, capturing the moment as Musa showed off his personalized cake with small lions and rockets. Friends and family came forward, complimenting the creative decorations and celebrating Musa's big day. He answered shyly at first, but with each compliment, his smile grew wider, his confidence blossoming instantly. He realized he could shine in his own way, that he deserved attention, love, and celebration, and that no one could take that from him. Zakona's sister, Thandi, stood to the side, her face tightening with the slow realization that her cruelty was being silently undone. Every cheer for Musa, every clap, every word of admiration chipped away at the cold power she had tried to wield over the party. Zakona didn't say a word to confront her, she didn't need to. The room itself told the story, the energy of joy and recognition leaving Thandi's harsh words meaningless. Musa's laughter rang louder as he cut another slice, sharing pieces with his friends, feeling proud and important. He looked at his mother, eyes sparkling, and whispered, "Mom, this is the best birthday ever." Zakona hugged him tightly, feeling the weight of victory and love all at once. She had turned a painful, cruel moment into one of celebration, teaching her son that recognition and self-worth come from love, courage, and resilience, not from anyone else's approval. The party had completely shifted. Musa was no longer the child left out. He was the hero of his own day. Zakona watched quietly, satisfied knowing she had given her son something far more valuable than cake, a moment of true pride and the confidence to always stand tall. Zakona watched Musa beam, taking in the admiration and cheers from everyone around him, and felt a quiet power settle over her. She didn't need to shout or accuse. The moment itself was already speaking. Guests were noticing the joy and confidence radiating from Musa, and the contrast with Thandi's earlier behavior became impossible to ignore. Zakona smiled softly, letting her calm presence do the work. Every gesture, every careful word, highlighted the difference between her love and patience and Thandi's coldness and arrogance. Children crowded around Musa, asking him about the tiny lions and rockets on his cake. Parents leaned in, complimenting the thoughtfulness of the decorations and the way Musa was included in every part of the celebration. Zakona answered their questions with warmth, letting Musa explain the details himself. He stood proudly, telling little stories about why each figure mattered to him. The room's attention shifted entirely to him, and the admiration was genuine. Guests couldn't help but notice that this wasn't just about cake. It was about love, care, and attention that came naturally from a mother who truly valued her child. Thandi, meanwhile, stood silently, her smile tight and forced. She tried to make small gestures of participation, handing out napkins or pretending to adjust a balloon, but it was too late. The room had already absorbed the message. Everyone could see that her earlier exclusion of Musa was unfair. Yet Zakona didn't humiliate her or call her out. The subtlety of Zakona's approach made the impact stronger. Guests began whispering quietly to one another, murmurs of support for Zakona and recognition of her thoughtful parenting spreading like wildfire. Even children seemed to sense the difference. Some who had noticed Musa being left out before now clung to him, laughing and sharing in his excitement, while Thandi's children hesitated, feeling the shift in energy. Zakona's quiet dignity and kindness created an invisible but powerful reversal of the situation. The people around her were seeing the truth without a single harsh word being spoken. Zakona bent down to Musa, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead, whispering, "See? Love and kindness always shine brighter than cruelty." Musa hugged her tightly, his small arms full of gratitude and pride. She straightened, looking around at the guests, noticing the nods, smiles, and approving whispers. The party had become a clear message. Patience, love, and quiet strength are more powerful than arrogance, favoritism, and cruelty. In this subtle, graceful way, Zakona had reclaimed the moment, proving that true power lies in care, compassion, and clever action rather than loud confrontation. The energy in the room had completely shifted, leaving Thandi powerless without anyone needing to say a word. The energy in the room had completely changed. Where there had once been awkward silence and tension, now laughter, chatter, and excitement filled the air. Children ran around showing off their pieces of Musa's special cake, comparing the tiny figures and decorations. Parents smiled warmly, exchanging compliments about how thoughtful and creative the cake was, and most importantly, about how happy Musa looked. For the first time that day, Musa felt truly seen, included, and celebrated. His tiny shoulders lifted, his head held a little higher, and the sparkle in his eyes made Zakona's heart swell with pride. Musa's friends gathered around him, asking questions about each little detail on the cake. He eagerly explained the stories behind the lions, rockets, and elephants, his excitement contagious. He laughed freely, a sound that had been missing earlier, and Zakona noticed how naturally confident and happy he had become. The earlier hurt from being excluded was gone, replaced with joy, self-worth, and a sense of belonging. Zakona moved quietly among the guests, watching them interact with Musa, feeling the warmth and admiration radiating toward her son. Every smile, every nod of approval, every word of encouragement reinforced the lesson she had been trying to teach him all along, that love, creativity, and respect matter more than anyone's cruelty or favoritism. She felt a quiet victory, a deep satisfaction knowing that she had turned a painful moment into one of empowerment for Musa. Even Thandi could no longer hide the truth of the situation. The room's energy exposed the contrast clearly. Zakona's patience, love, and attention had created a celebration full of genuine happiness, while Thandi's earlier coldness now seemed meaningless. No words were needed. Everyone could see who had made Musa feel special, and who had tried to diminish him. Zakona knelt beside Musa, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead, whispering softly, "See my love? Love always wins." Musa hugged her tightly, his small arms wrapping around her neck, a mixture of relief and pride in his embrace. He felt cherished, empowered, and strong, understanding in his own way that setbacks could be turned into triumphs. The party continued, but for Zakona, the true celebration was quiet and personal. She watched her son beam, heard his laughter, and felt a profound sense of accomplishment. This birthday had become more than cake and gifts. It was a lesson in resilience, self-worth, and love. Zakona silently savored the victory, knowing she had given Musa something far more valuable than any present: confidence, dignity, and the understanding that he mattered, no matter what anyone else said or did. As the party wound down, the room slowly emptied, leaving Zakona and Musa surrounded by the soft glow of balloons and leftover decorations. Musa sat on a small chair, licking the last crumbs of his special cake from his fingers, his eyes shining with pure happiness. Zakona knelt beside him, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead, and wrapped him in a warm hug. His small arms clung tightly to her, and he whispered softly, "This was the best birthday ever, Mom." Zakona felt a rush of emotion. Every moment of planning, every careful choice to turn humiliation into celebration, every quiet act of love had led to this. She held him close, feeling the triumph not in words or applause, but in the joy radiating from her son. It was a victory over cruelty, over favoritism, over the small but painful acts that had tried to make him feel less than he was. She looked around at the scattered party decorations, the bits of frosting on the table, and the small toys lying where children had played. Everything felt meaningful now, transformed by love and creativity. Zakona realized that today was not just about cake or gifts. It was about showing Musa that he deserved respect, recognition, Enjoy no matter what others said or did. She had taught him resilience and dignity without a single harsh word, proving that quiet strength and ingenuity could overcome malice. Musa rested his head against her shoulder, exhausted but glowing with pride. Zakona whispered gently, "Remember, my love, no one can take away your joy when you hold it in your heart." He nodded, understanding in his own childlike way that happiness and self-worth came from love, not from anyone else's approval. As they walked to tidy up the party together, Zakona felt a deep, lasting satisfaction. Today had shown that kindness, careful thought, and courage could create moments of triumph that were far stronger than any act of cruelty.